Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO TED Talks, Devoted Talks, where we take ancient wisdom and practices to a modern lens and experience to help those you love, those you love, you and those you love in suffering in your personal and greater worlds alike. Not off to a great start, but whatever. Man, life is just interesting, and I would like to talk about what realizations I'm having. I keep going through similar issues and things, and I return to the same lessons, and each time it has tempered me just a little bit more. I've been more accepting and offering myself more grace and offering other people more grace, which I think is the true transformation that's happening. And so let's talk about that from an Ayurvedic standpoint and from a yogic standpoint. We carry beliefs, and those beliefs become crystallized in our psyche as well as within our body, right? Because our mind and body are intimately connected, and they affect how we operate in the world. And so, if we are so crystallized, so petrified, and so firm with those beliefs, it's going to take a lot of experiences to transform them. However, our greatest expressions of self based on our wants, needs, and desires in the world are going to come at odds with each other. If you're too rigid, you're going to require a lot of lessons to help chisel away all the things that you are not so you can realize who you really are. And so some of these lessons return and return because that is the chisel trying to strike away all the things that are not who you are so that you can realize the beauty and masterpiece within, right? I think it was Leonardo da Vinci or one of the greats that said, well, I'm not trying to create the statue. I'm just trying to take the block and get rid of everything that isn't what I am seeing it to be. And so it's more about subtracting than it is about adding, right? And the whole idea of creating seems like addition, when in reality, most of the time, creation is subtraction because the refinement of borders involves reduction, right? And so yoga and Ayurveda are the tools through which we can slowly chisel away at things that we have accumulated, things that we have held on to or become crystallized in, so that we can start to know ourselves through the removal of them and a more clear representation of our wholeness, of our fullness, of our I amness, right? And so it moves away from the idea that I am blank to I am, or I am that which I am. And it's a full sentence. It's complete. I am, right? To be or not to be, that is the question, right? I am. I am. So what do we do with this? Well, how many things in your life are you trying to pile more on your plate so that you can get to some goal and to some destination? Well, if you pack your pack too full to try and get on a flight, sometimes they charge you extra, right? Or if you have to hike and your backpack is so laden down with stuff that you may or may not need, how exhausted are you going to be, or how long is your trek going to take? Did you plan for enough time to get there based on the inputs of how much you're taking with you, right? Will you have to adjust? And so yoga and Ayurveda, like I talked about in the last thing, is about clearing the doors of perception so that we're accurately seeing things. But part of that accurate perception is, well, what do I really need to do what I need to do? And depending on how much trust you place in the universe, you may need more things, and therefore you need to go set that up for yourself. Or maybe you have a firm belief in the universe providing things for you, and therefore you don't necessarily need to prepare as much because you know it's just going to be there. I have gotten to a place and trust in myself through the belief that I can do this. And then I've affirmed it over and over and over again that I have full faith in my capability, that I don't prepare for talks as much. I generally think about it and I generally prepare, and even leading up to it, put as much as I can into it based on, what I think or know is necessary based on my capabilities. And then I proceed. And that may not be your process. And it may not always execute exactly as I wanted to, but 9 times out of 10, it really does. And because I even put that designation of 9 times out of 10, it will be 9 times out of 10, because it can't be anything that which outside of which I believe it to be. And so the firmness of these beliefs is going to influence how you show up in the world. And so I am confident because in many regards, in most situations, I know who I am. And so when I'm being worried or worrisome or uncertain, it often indicates that I am exceeding my belief about what I can do in that moment, or how much trust I have, or what I am ready for. Because when it's prepared and I'm ready, it's exciting, right? It's like when I was preparing for my master's thesis, like I had done all the work, but I was scared because I didn't know if I had prepared enough, because I wasn't living to my fullest in it. And I hadn't built all the confidence that I have now to just show up and be, right? If life has taught me anything as I progress further, for me, that when I relax and just show up, the right things come out of me at the right times in the right ways for the best experience for all. Now, is that true for you? I don't know, because I'm not you and I'm not living your life, nor do I have your experience. Could that work for you? Absolutely. May it not? Absolutely. And it might be uh, dependent upon your life journey or what you want out of life as to how it shows up. So, how can you utilize what I'm talking about? Yoga and Ayurveda to clean the doors of perception, or the windows of perception, so that you're perceiving clearly and you're able to take note of how things are happening, and knowing that sometimes we do more or require more because we're not confident in what we have right now. And so we're stacking block on block, top of block on top of block, but then it makes it harder to chisel and sculpt and to create the masterpiece, because there's just too much on it. And if you hit it too hard, or you hit it in the wrong way, it may collapse, or it may all come tumbling down. And it's not because the nature of it is it to crumble or tumble down. It's just because too much was too much and we didn't know the difference in the moment. But sometimes it takes the experience of too much in the moment for us to later know exactly how to do it the next time. And so failing forward, but I don't know that it's failing, right? You can't get it wrong because you never get it done, is an idea from Abraham Hicks. And I find that all the more prudent now. What context are you judging your completion on? Is it based on some internal locus or some external locus, or what you think things should be? These are all valid questions and assessments to help you further refine who you really are and how you show up and what's going to be best for any given situation. So the moral of this is, you can't just sculpt. You have to practice, and you have to try, and you have to see what works and what doesn't work. And you have to do things that turn out to be stupid later. And sometimes you have to do things that work so way better than you ever imagined. But you have to accept both. You can't accept one without the other. Like, if you get it right 100% of the time, are you learning everything there is to learn about it? Maybe, but maybe not, right? What else is there, right? And another thing about the marble and, you know, carving that statue is, or statues, is you're removing all the things that it is not, so that you can realize what it is within. But there are things below the surface that you may not be aware of. There may be a chunk that is going to dislodge because of the angle of the strike, or the way the rock deposited. And so it completely changes the sculpture. And then at that point, you'll have to make different choices. But just because you have even built up all the skill there is, there may be things hanging out below the surface that you're not prepared for. But the thing is if you have the experience, you know that that might happen anyway. And so when it does happen, you're not completely blown apart. You're not completely devastated. You're not completely cut off at the knees, right? Like, for a while there, I had so many people dying all the time, and I was just getting cut off at the knees because I was expecting life to keep operating in a certain way and not realizing that it could change at any moment. And now I live every day as if the moment could change completely. And while it doesn't change any sadness that I have, it doesn't control me, because I'm not subject to what happened. I'm subject only to my understanding of that subject. And that is where cleaning the doors to perception really help you, because then you can see it clearly and then you can understand it clearly for yourself. And then furthermore, the more you understand about who you are, you know what things are to you, maybe even before things happen, so that you know if it's for you or not before it even starts, right? You're not just completely, you know, ixnaying it because of what you think it is, but rather because you know what it is in the first place, because of past experience and clear perception on yourself and the world around you. And the only way that can happen is by regularly practicing something that helps you shed the ideas of what you are, old beliefs of what you are or how the world works, and allows you to get more to that steady state of I am, or I am that which I am. And you know what? I am that which I am, and that is being well and being free. And that doesn't change. I am that which I am.